at this time. So, Minister, it's good to have you with us, as you are very familiar with our US-based diaspora. We also have with us Commander Alvin Gayle, who was very recently appointed to head ODPEM. Thank you for agreeing to come on and engage our diaspora. Several people from the United States have been sending supplies directly or donating to charities that have been doing fantastic work in this large-scale logistical and humanitarian effort. We'd love to get a sense of how things are going now and what comes next and how best we can help to support the ODPEM and Jamaica. Lastly, but certainly not least, we have our Commissioner of Customs, Dr. Velma Ricketts Walker, who will provide clarity on the process of getting supplies, donations, relief items through Jamaica's ports of entry as seamlessly and efficiently as possible. If you have not checked out the JCA website, you should. It's easy to navigate, and the information, particularly for Melissa, is very accessible. The brochure on the website is downloadable and provides most, if not all, of the information required for sending relief items. So, Minister Tufton, without further ado, I'd invite you to take the floor, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Ambassador, and let me just send greetings to all my diaspora friends and colleagues. I'm putting up a presentation that I'm going to run through, and you're welcome to capture any of those images to refresh yourself on the presentation. So this looks at a couple of things. It's going to be looking at, in terms of the outline, the hospital assessment, primary care, and the health response, current state of health. And we are launching today what we call a donor's document, which gives specific information about areas of need. And of course, to the extent that the diaspora members are so inclined to support these causes, there's a contact information there. So firstly, by way of context, this is how the hurricane approached us and crossed over us. Yes, the questions are coming up on the screen. Just shift them to the side for me. And yes, we can make the presentation available. The hurricane came across the island, the area in red, bright red, and the path of the storm, where the eye is captured by that red line. So entered somewhere between the border of Westmoreland, that's western Westmoreland, and northern St. Elizabeth, and it went across through southern St. James, through Trelawney, and exited somewhere in Falmouth, that area in Trelawney. So the paths that have been impacted is, as indicated, there are the most significant impact, just by way of context. Next, in terms of hospitals, the hospital damages, the Savlamar Hospital sustained about 70% damage. Noel Homes in Hanover, 70% damage. Cornwall Regional, 50%. Falmouth, 70%. Black River was damaged to the extent of being totally wiped out. You see the pictures there, the aerial view. I flew in by helicopter the day after, and that's a picture of St. Elizabeth. And then, of course, St. Anne's Bay, 30% damage. Damage meaning roof damage and the contents within the building, which would include diagnostic equipment, beds, and all the other contents within the building. Once the roof went, then many other things went. So substantial damage to those 5 parishes, 6 if you include the St. Anne's Bay Hospital. In terms of health centers, the number of health centers impacted, there are 101 health centers in those parishes. 73% we have been able to put back up in full service, even though they may have sustained some damage. 13% partially damaged, and 14% very badly damaged. And we have the list of those health centers in St. James, places like Type 5 Clinic, Cambridge, Salt Spring, Flanker, Mount Salem, and I could go on, Hanover, Cave Hill, Ramble. So we have actually done an assessment, a visual of those health centers, and can provide better details on that. In terms of the environmental concerns, the immediate aftermath after the hurricane, the issue was really to bring back the emergency services as quickly as possible. So we focused a lot on trying to restore those. I'll say more about that. But there's the environmental concerns, which are almost automatic after a hurricane. So water safety was a big one, is still a big one. Food safety because of lack of electricity, so can't refrigerate your food, contaminants affecting the food in the flooding, and excretia management, waste management, you know, the toilets and so on that have been affected as part of the overall damage would have been of serious concern. So the objective quickly is to rehabilitate public health. How do we restore and improve health services delivery to the population? And in so doing, both in the short term to restore services, but in the medium to longer term to ensure resilience against a storm similar to this one. Now, this is a 1 in a 700, sorry, they say 1 in a 800 year storm. We've never seen it before. There are 5 recorded in history with winds of, you know, the wind, the category 5, even the category 6, some would argue. And the force of the and magnitude of this storm we have never experienced. So the damage was quite significant, as you would have heard. The question is, how do we restore to build resilience, but restore services immediately? There are a couple of phases that public health have taken in terms of that restoration. Phase 1 is relief. So it's rapid assessment, repair mobilization for basic services, mass environmental health mitigation action, the staff in the area who have been victims of the storm, so doctors, nurses, porters, all being impacted, their loss of roof, personal possession, and at the same time, they are frontline workers, so they too and their families have been traumatized. And the resources that will be needed, additional human resources, to give support to the emergency services in the immediate aftermath. So we set ourselves a 3-month timetable for this. We're well on the way as it relates to this timetable in terms of bringing in external support, NGOs, bilateral partners, and I'll show some of that support on the ground, like the field hospitals and so on. And we have also been doing the staff assessment, looking at the environmental mitigation measures. So phase 1 is in full throttle and will continue through to next month when we hopefully will be able to address the very immediate concerns. Phase 2 is to execute longer term repairs to building equipment and to try to get full operations back up, and of course to continue to push the environmental and more resilient plan. And we anticipate a 4 to 12 month period starting in the early new year where that phase 2 will kick in. So while we are providing the services, we're also enhancing the mechanism to build back stronger and to have a more resilient system. And then phase 3 is the reconstruction phase. That's a more longer term phase. That's when we decide things like, should we relocate the hospital at Black River or Noel Homes or Falmouth from the coastline where it is to somewhere else? How do we construct these hospitals? How do we construct these health centers for more long-term resilience? So those are the 3 phases as part of the plan that we have developed and are moving forward on. So in terms of the components, phase 1 would have been the rapid assessment, the field hospital deployment, the issues around vector control, because water means mosquitoes, mosquitoes mean dengue and other vector-borne illnesses. Food safety, because spoiled food means gastroenteritis and other damage to individuals. And we public health officers have been out in the field condemning food that is spoiled, providing guidance, information, the public address, public education programs, the town criers, and then water safety, working to ensure that water is clean, water purification systems, bottled water distribution, and very importantly, the final one is mental health and psychosocial support. Lots of Jamaicans in the zone, those 5 or 6 parishes, would have been traumatized. If you take a look at Jamaica, based on the slide I showed you first, on the path of the storm, it's 2 Jamaicas that exist now. There's a Jamaica that has been ravaged by the storm, and there's a Jamaica that is almost the same as it was before the storm. And if you don't take the time to understand what's happening in the Jamaica that has been ravaged, then you really won't fully appreciate how glaring the contrast is between where the storm hit and where it did not. The storm was very tight, very, very tight, very, very forceful, and just damaged everything in its path. So I give you an example. If you're in Black River, it's decimated. If you get to Junction, it's almost like business as usual. Same parish, very contrasting impact of the storm. And so there is a component of our population, 500,000 to 600,000 in those 5+ parishes, that have been traumatized. And the support that we give should not just be physical or material, but also critically mental health, psychosocial, and that's part of public health responsibility. Next slide looks at the field hospitals. So we went very fast, and commendations to the health team, but also to our partners in the diaspora, bilateral partners, NGOs, and others. Because within a week of the storm, we were able to mount a field hospital in Black River, fully fledged, fully equipped, operating theater, pharmacy, lab, ward space, A&E, and this was mounted by Samaritan's Purse, which is an NGO out of Carolina, I think it's North Carolina, who were in touch with before the storm as part of the pre-planning. We have subsequently mounted another field hospital in Falmouth, that's in Trelawney, and we are in the process now of a third in Savlamar in consultation with the Barbados government and army. Those 3 are classified as tier 1 facilities, and they are fully operational facilities with staff that accompany the infrastructure, supported by the local staff, but giving the local staff some time who have been traumatized to actually address some of their own concerns because they have been victims of the storm. In fact, the numbers I looked at yesterday suggest that the field hospital in Black River has seen over 3,000 patients since it has been set up some 3 weeks ago. So it has really stopped the gap and provided significant support. In addition to that, as the map suggests, we have mounted a number of mobile tier 2 facilities. These are, type 1. So the type 2 are the hospitals, the type 1 are the health centers. So these are smaller setup that are either mobile or fixed. Really, it is a sophisticated tent structure with equipment inside, or the base is the tent and then the team moves out into communities. We have hosted a number of NGOs who have come on board, bilateral partners who have brought in doctors, nurses, specialists, and we brought them under one umbrella with a planning team, got their credentials quickly. Once they show their credentials and they are approved, we dispatch them where the gaps are based on analysis that has taken place. So we currently have on the ground, providing services to Jamaicans, a range of partners who are filling the gaps, filling the void, both at the hospital level as well as the health center level. And this is outlined as a kind of field support There on the screen, you will see the two field hospitals, the Black River Emergency Hospital, they're in the white, fully set up on the grounds of the Black River High School with ward space, pharmacy, operating theater, and so on. On my right, sorry, you will see the one in Westmoreland, in Trelawney, sorry, which is done by the Spanish government, fully equipped, and is providing critical services to patients in both parishes. And those have done really well, and they are really sophisticated, and it shows the strength of the partnership, but also the leadership on the ground by the government and the health team to put these in place. So these are functional, up and running. The other area I wanted to touch on is the healthcare workers and the displacement. We've done the analysis. Some 2,200 healthcare workers report damages to personal property, 1,300 reported major damage. And what that means is that many have lost their homes, their roof, their personal possession. Some of them have lost every piece of clothes on their back except what they had on when they reported to duty. And it is devastating. I mean, a Category 5 hurricane destroys everything in its path. And we've done that assessment and are now in the process of mapping a response to those healthcare workers, both by providing them with initial welfare support, whether it's food packaging or otherwise, and over time, trying to give them support, whether it is through the government existing programs, NHT, to repair their roof, or other forms of support. But there is a major thrust towards helping the healthcare worker, especially those who have been ravaged. And that's an opening also for collaboration, if that collaboration is possible. I want to just quickly look at the health and environmental threat. The one we announced recently was leptospirosis. We declared an outbreak. And an outbreak is not really a call to panic. It's really an identification, realization of an outlier event, more cases than normal. So we have 91 suspected cases up to 2 days ago, 10 confirmed deaths. 10 or 9? I thought it was 9. 10 confirmed deaths. Well, 11 deaths, 3 confirmed for leptospirosis. The others are suspected as being lepto cases. And we have launched a major program in conjunction with other agencies like NSWMA for cleanup. Lepto is really caused by the rodent, rats, but also animals, cats, dogs who are infected, livestock, some of them carcasses because they have died in the flood, contaminating flood waters, and the flood waters, of course, overrunning people's homes. They interact in the water and they get infected. It is almost expected. And so we started some training. We have the lab facilities with PAHO to do testing, to detect, and to treat. It is a bacteria that's treatable by antibiotics, and the hospitals are prepared. And we are now on a major program to guide the public through public education, but also treat where necessary in controlling lepto. Each year we have deaths for leptospirosis, primarily during the rainy season. But of course, beyond the average numbers per year, it is classified as a going concern. And with a Category 5 storm, we have had to deal with that. So just a note on that, and we're working through it. In terms of the lepto cases, we have a map here that shows where they are. St. James, on the red dot, Westmoreland, parts of St. Anne, and St. Elizabeth. And there's one case in St. Mary and in St. Catherine, which may just be outliers because those areas weren't badly flooded. But, you know, as I said, during the rainy season, you do have these cases. Quickly move on to surveillance, disease surveillance. Again, with the risk of the flooding, we have had a few tetanus cases, people stepping on zinc and nail. Before the hurricane, you would have a few per year. You've had 6 or so since, so it's still an outlier, an increase in numbers. And again, those are treatable, and the system is prepared to do that. Luckily, no dengue outbreak. We're still in the normal threshold, and we are doing our best to control the mosquito population. We have a big team, they're out in the field, and the same for influenza, and the numbers that we're monitoring the environment through our surveillance system to manage the increased likely risks associated with the flooding. And I think the team has been doing well up to date, and the country has been responding to the advisories. Okay, so what's the ask? What's the pitch? What's the consideration as we seek to build back stronger, having given the outline as to what is happening? Well, what we've done, we've tried in public health to package the response to those who have expressed an interest to give support. And I want to use the opportunity to thank the many Jamaicans who have reached out. I mean, hundreds, thousands. I've gotten so many WhatsApp emails, but I know the Wellness Foundation has facilitated many missions, many shipments of one form or another. And so it's really a demonstration of humanity and the humanity in all of us, and the love, the care, the concerns for our fellow citizens. Some of them are relatives, some are friends in the affected areas. So having said that, we have tried to make it easy for persons to support and to contribute. And we have categorized the contribution along the lines of the areas that have been most affected and how those could complement the efforts on the ground by the government and by its various partners. The first is a special adopter clinic for health program. So we have a program called Adopter Clinic. We have about 55 health centers adopted. It's an MOU that is signed with an adopter, someone or an entity who says, I will take over this health center. I'll make a commitment over 3 years to give some support, and we mount a plaque and we establish a relationship. We have 325 health centers. As I've said to you, 101 have been impacted in the zone of this 5 to 6 parishes, and about 25, 30 or so would require different levels of refurbishing, including some that have been totally damaged. We have assessed, and that assessment continues. There's going to be a need to assess cost, and that cost will therefore accompany a projectization of those facilities. But we are saying to the diaspora, those online, those who are interested, one big area of contribution, whether as an individual, an entity, or a group of individuals, is that you could express an interest in a special adoption of a health center. That clinic could be in your community, could be total separate, but it would bring back in a meaningful way health services within a community where the impact has been great. And primary healthcare is big because community healthcare is key to sustainability and longevity and quality of life at the community level. The cost will vary depending on the health center. So it's for you to say, listen, I can commit 20,000 US, or I and my friends can raise 10,000 US. I mean, the normal adoption is about 7 or 8,000 US per year for 3 years. But this is a special adoption that may require a little more. But if that's what you have and you want to adopt a clinic, we can align you to a health center. If you have a particular parish of interest, we can identify some in that parish and provide follow-up information. So it's very flexible, but it would represent a meaningful contribution to primary health care under an existing banner of the Adopter Clinic program. The second, in terms of our donors document, is our logistics and mobility. We have lost a lot of our vehicle for movement of people, movement of health services, movement of vector workers, and the equipment that come with that. So a number of ambulances were destroyed, number of the pickup trucks that do the vector spraying, the equipment that does the spraying, or the mobile clinics, as you have seen there in the picture. So let me give you an example. An ambulance, for example, would cost 25 million Jamaican dollars. However, if you purchase locally, there could be a savings. We work with Toyota Jamaica. They convert those vehicles that you see there, which is a regular highest bus, and they can build it out to be an ambulance at a cheaper cost. I think it's about 16 million or 17 million Jamaica. So it's like 100,000 US, somewhere in that region. You know, it could be that a couple of persons could come together and make that donation, or if one could contribute towards it. That's all fine. So there's a lot of flexibility, but the mobility of health services is critical. And we did suffer a lot of loss there, and we felt this was a good thing to package as a possible donation. The next one would be the mobile clinic. It should be slightly more expensive. I'm not sure why it is a little cheaper than the ambulance, but nevertheless, we can do the checks to give you the information there. But we are big as part of primary healthcare by providing health services in communities through mobile health clinics. And you may have a contact, or you may know someone with the contact, or we could do one here in Jamaica via Toyota. But mobile health clinics are a big part of the future. We lost a few. We are teamed up with a number of NGOs that have. I'm patron for an NGO called Hummingbird. We have a men's health mobile clinic. We are now using it. We have loaned it to NHF, which has converted its usage to a mobile pharmacy. And we're going into communities and filling prescriptions until the health centers and the pharmacies are back up and running. But this is a valuable piece of equipment that can really go a far way to helping to take health to communities in rural Jamaica. And that would be a great donation by anyone or any group. And then the third is the vector control. And these are just pickup trucks that carry the equipment, vehicle mounted, fogger, or hand mounted. And these can go into communities to spray the mosquitoes or to treat with the water. And we lost a couple of those. Those are, as you see on the screen, could be sourced locally or otherwise. The other vehicle is the multi-patient transport vehicles. And these are vehicles that carry a disabled person, someone in a wheelchair. So it has the appropriate mechanism to mount and to take persons or carry multiple patients at a time. What we have had to be doing is using the ambulance to move patients from one hospital to a referral hospital. And we could take multiple patients in a vehicle such as this. So that's another one that is a part of our donors document. And then the final, is it final or close? Final. Final part of our donors document is our diagnostic equipment. So let me just tell you quickly, we lost a lot of diagnostic equipment because of the water damage. So the roof went, and of course the heavy rain, I think it was 40 inches of rain that fell over that period, would have flooded out the rooms, flooded out the digital X-ray units, flooded out the all the very sophisticated machines, the ventilators, and so on. We've put up on a screen a list of diagnostic equipment, and we have the specifications of these equipment. So if you are interested in exploring a CT scan or a mammogram or a nebulizer or a ventilator or any of the other equipment, the numbers are there that we're looking to reacquire. So we will clearly have to buy if we can't get. A team or an individual may know of or can source some of these. We can give you the exact specs that is needed for the system, and that could determine your own contribution. Some of these are expensive. Go to the next slide. But I'll put them up anyway. I mean, at the top of the list would be an MRI machine for 2 million US, a CT scan for 1.2 million, ultrasound for 45,000, and you could go lower. depending on that list. So, you know, from autoclaves to stethoscopes, all of those are needed. But we're being ambitious by just placing the premium ones there and saying, hey, you know, if it's possible, we are prepared to work to explore how we can source these. But we have lost some equipment because of the weather and the flood damage. Before I close, I just want to say that there are many other things that are needed, and we can provide you with those that are not as expensive, from adult diapers to, you know, sanitizers to all of those things. But, you know, I just put those there as key. How do you get in touch with us if you are interested in participating? The National Healthcare Enhancement Foundation, the address is on the screen. You can quickly take a picture of it. I'll make the slide and the donors document available to the embassy to distribute. But once you contact us, we're happy to follow up and to provide you with better particulars on where we are. I'd like to say thank you very much. We will build back stronger. Jamaica is a resilient country. We have very hardworking people, including yourselves. We are confident that things will get better. We'll get back to where we need to be. I am very bullish. Health has been resilient. There's no one who needs help now in a hospital, life-saving help, that cannot get it. We have acted swift. We have done, I think, what we need to do, but we still have a lot more to do. And so we're not depending on just help. We are doing it also, but clearly together we can be stronger and we can build Jamaica land we love. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you so much, Minister Tufton, for your usually insightful presentation. Very comprehensive update that you provided, Minister. It was an absolute pleasure having you. I trust that you will be able to remain with us for our first Q&A segment. We are, in fact, awaiting Minister Vaz to join us momentarily. But in the meantime, I just want to circle back on a few very critical points you shared with us, Minister. Just ways the diaspora can help. We at the embassy will get through the inquiries. So we know that there is anxiety to help, and the community is eager to. So a doctor clinic program, that's one way. Supporting the mobile health clinics and just the mobility and transformation initiative in general, the ambulance that Minister Tufton spoke about, and also the vector control pickup initiative. Thank you so much, Minister Tufton, for indicating that you will make available to us the slide deck. We will be extracting the information and sharing it accordingly with our friends from the diaspora. Do I have confirmation? Minister Vaz, is he on? He's not yet. He's not yet on. Okay, so we will, one moment, please. Let me just confirm and make certain.
Me too.
Hi, good afternoon.
Okay, so we do have our dear Minister Vaz. You were welcomed earlier, sir. We understand you have quite a busy schedule today, and thank you so much for being with us. We're just going to hand right over to you so you can make your presentation, and then we will have a very quick Q&A segment thereafter, sir. Over to you.
Good. I actually just stepped out of Parliament. It's a long Parliament day, and I just gave a statement to Parliament in relation to the JPS situation, which I wanted to share with the diaspora, who I know have so many friends and family here in Jamaica that are affected by the hurricane. So this afternoon I spoke in Parliament, and the background is that JPS has a 2-year license left. You'll recall that in July 2025, the government of Jamaica had to indicate to JPS the position as to whether they'd be extending the existing license or they were giving them notice that we would be negotiating a new license, which is what we did. And unfortunately, Melissa has come, and that has created an issue for JPS to be able to get the funding to be able to restore the electricity, because they only have a 2-year license left, and nobody will be prepared to lend them money with a 2-year license. So the government was in a spot of bother, because the timelines that JPS was giving us for the license, for the restoration, was April to May of 2026, which is totally unacceptable. We can't ask people to suffer for that length of time. The JPS required a 15-year extension of the existing license as a result of Melissa, for which the government said absolutely not. The multilaterals offered financing for JPS as well on an emergency basis, but wanted an 8 to 10-year license amendment. Again, the government said no, because we had made a commitment to the Jamaican people prior to Melissa that after almost 25 years of this license, that we needed to make fundamental changes to reduce the cost of electricity. The government of Jamaica then decided to have a very strong discussion with JPS, led by myself and my permanent secretary in energy, and the Minister of Finance, Minister Favorable Williams, and the Financial Secretary, Mrs. Darlene Morrison. We had that meeting yesterday morning, and what I announced today, and I'll tell all the members of the diaspora, is that the government of Jamaica has agreed to lend the JPS $150 million with the conditionality that they use the money to bring forward the restoration of all the parishes, including the affected parishes, to end by January of 2026, early February, the latest. The money will be using in 100 additional linesmen, equipment, and materials, for which they now have only 170 linesmen working. So with the 300, we'll have 470 linesmen, which means that we'll be able to bring back electricity to some areas in the most affected areas, even for Christmas, meaning the major townships and other areas that people can go to and obviously do their business and get some relief from the darkness. And we will continue to negotiate a new license, independent and separate of that loan. So the two things are not intermingled. They are two separate transactions. The loan will be for 5 years. Interest rate is being negotiated now with the Ministry of Finance, realizing that the higher the interest rate is the more impactful it will happen on the JPS customers. So we are clear on that. And therefore, I'm very, very confident that interest rate will be a concessionary interest rate of some shape or form. And most importantly, the government is fully protected, because in 2 years, if there's a successful new license negotiation that is completed, it means the JPS will be able to borrow money on the international market and pay back the government. And if there's no agreement on a new license, then the government of Jamaica has already indicated that we would buy the assets of the JPS, for which we'd offset the $150 million. So the government and the taxpayers are at no risk in relation to this loan. What the government has done is be compassionate and responsible to make sure that we bring relief to the suffering people of Jamaica in the western parishes, some of who don't even have a tarpaulin to cover themselves tonight. I was questioned by the opposition. It was even told to me that we should not release $150 million until the JPS tells us where they're going to find the rest of the money, for which I told them absolutely not. We are going to release the money as quickly as we can formalize the loan so that we can get the linesmen here, which could be as early as the first to second week of December, so that we can get 2 weeks of work before Christmas and continue through Christmas into the end of January, where we're hoping for full restoration. So that is the news that I have to tell members of the diaspora who are so concerned about their Jamaican brothers and sisters. And I want to indicate to all of you in the diaspora that no government can respond to a Category 5 hurricane disaster. And it has been the spirit of Jamaica and Jamaicans and the entire world that has come to the rescue of Jamaica, which is why we are able to respond and do what we are doing as we speak. This is not something that's going to be days or weeks or months. This rebuild is going to be over years. And we have to make sure that we continue to work on behalf of these suffering people and that all hands are on deck. So again, for all of you in the diaspora, I'm sure that the government will indicate in relation to what are the important things in the relief and recovery efforts through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And of course, I urge all of you to continue to just taking on what you can take on the various areas that you're familiar with, people where you have friends, family, because that is what is helping to keep the humanitarian efforts going during this time. The international charities have been unbelievable. The US government has been unbelievable in terms of giving us assets and money. And my commitment to you as the co-chair of the Recovery Committee of Cabinet, Subcommittee of Cabinet, is that I will work tirelessly to make sure that we continue to do everything that we can do as a government and a people to ease the pain and suffering of these tens of thousands of people.
Thank you so much, Minister Vaz, for sharing that information with us. I'm sure the diaspora is very thrilled to hear of those developments. We know you have to go, both ministers will have to go soon. And so at this time, we're going to open our very first Q&A segment. I'm going to ask persons who have questions to indicate by a raise of hand using the emoji on this Zoom platform. Once you are recognized, acknowledged, we will give you the opportunity to speak over your microphone.
And just to say that I commit to come back for a longer session to deal with other aspects, but it's a parliament evening and it's a long parliament, and I want to be there to just make sure that everything goes according to plan. But I have a lot more to tell the diaspora, so I'm sure you'll be having another one in short order, and I commit to be there and give you all the time that you need.
You know, Minister, you are preempting our conversation. We were just thinking the very same thing earlier, that we will certainly have to invite you.
Yeah, sure, 100%.
Share additional information with us. So let us get a few questions in, as many as we can. If we're unable to take your questions, we have a team using the chat feature. So just drop them in the chat and we will certainly prepare the responses. Please put your name and an email address so we can follow up with you in the event we're unable to take all the questions. Also, when you come on to ask your questions, please to keep it sweet, keep it brief, keep it short, and indicate who you are directing your question to. That is, which one of the ministers. Minister Tufton, just confirming, sir, that you're still with us?
Yes, I'm still here.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Minister. So we will go with Ms. Smart. I see Ms. Smart on screen with a question. Go right ahead, Ms. Smart.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, you're being heard perfectly.
Okay, I'm a representative from JACO, Jamaican American Community Organization. Here, we're globally situated. My question is, we have a logistic expert happen to be part of our membership. I'm wondering, is there a need for that volunteer group for Jamaica in regards to Honorable Minister Tufton and the very excellent plans that he shared. Is there a need for such, like you need nurses for the healthcare and so on and so forth? Do you need logistic experts also to assist with our crisis that we're having? That's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that question, Minister Tufton, sir.
Okay, sure. So yes, we have been accepting support from various experts. We have the address I placed on the presentation would accept offers, would communicate with the team. We have a management team of the process. We meet every morning at 7:30 a.m. And depending on where the need is, we would direct those support into the particular areas of need. Right now, logistics are managed primarily by the JDF, Jamaica Defense Force, and they carry the helicopters and the other forms of logistics expertise to help us to access the remote areas. They store, working with ODPEM, Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management. We have our own location and logistics around medication, the NHF. So we do have those functions. We do have some experts, but if you send the information, we can look at it and then we can respond.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister. We will go with Shane Chung. Shane Chung.
Evening, how are you? Thank you for taking my response. My question. My question is, what is the alternative to the JPS if we're unable to keep them as our primary vendor for electricity in the island? Over.
Us?
Thank you very much for that question. The fact of the matter is that the energy landscape is very, very active. A lot of investors, a lot of unsolicited proposals. And the fact of the matter is that we are leaving all options open. Fact is that JPS has indicated a willingness to have a discussion, and we will see how far that goes. There are others that are also willing, but we will just take it step by step. We have until 2027, which is not a long time. So as I said before, we have a negotiating team in place, which will start discussions as early as this week to next week. And we will know in short order whether the fundamentals that the government is insisting on is something that JPS is prepared to accept. So I say that I'm confident as minister that there are other players that are prepared to step in if it is required that we cannot get an agreement with the existing supplier.
Thank you for your response, Minister.
Thank you.
We're going to proceed to Dr. Karen Dunkley, followed by Marilyn in that order. Dr. Dunkley.
Thank you so much, and greetings to everyone, Ambassador, Consul General, Mayor, and my honorary Consul Chris Chaplin, and I saw Elaine Bryan. I have a comment and then a question. My comment is for Dr. Tufton. I know that oftentimes we amplify when we have negative experiences. I have to tell you that we salute the team at the National Healthcare Enhancement Foundation. Mr. Courtney Cephas and Jody McQueen Walker are simply phenomenal. We visited the office just to personally thank them. We are part of a consortium that has taken in 2 private cargoes and 3 containers. Dr. Tricia Bailey, Bailey's Pharmacy and Bailey Archie Foundation, Beverly Nichols from Push Start, and a host of diaspora individuals that we know very well, Jazz Clayton Hunt, Claudette Powell, myself, and Kermita Alvarez. So I just want to tell you, Dr. Tufton, that you must salute this team because they also, as you said, suffer damage, and they are doing a Herculean job. And because I know Commissioner Dr. Velma Ricketts will come a little later, the team at Customs, from the minute you enter Jamaica to on the ground, absolutely fantastic. We had to personally reach out to Commissioner. She was very helpful, very responsive. We thank you. We salute you. My question is for Minister Vaz. We see the Recovery Committee, and we're curious if we can have diaspora members appointed to serve alongside our brothers and sisters in Jamaica, since the diaspora has made such a tremendous effort to respond to Hurricane Melissa? Thank you.
Thank you,
Great,
Dr.
thank you. Thank you for that question. The answer is very simple. We are going to have a number of subcommittees. We already have a subcommittee of the private sector organization of Jamaica, and there'd be no reason why we couldn't have a subcommittee that would answer to your suggestion and include you so that you can play a part in the recovery efforts over the long term. So the answer to that question is yes.
Okay, Marion, we'll take your question. I'm afraid we will only have room for maybe 3 additional questions because our ministers, they.
Yeah. Any other questions for me, please send them to me and I'll respond. I'll have to walk back in Parliament now.
Absolutely.
All the best, everybody. Thank you for everything you're doing for Jamaica and the people of Jamaica. God bless you all.
Thank you. Thanks very much for organizing this event. As a teacher and someone in the education sector, my question specifically is related to education. I understand that in the immediate aftermath, health takes a priority, but is there any assessment of the damages and destruction to our schools, and what can we begin to do to help in some of the restoration in that? Is there an assessment that someone could provide us with?
Yes, the short answer to the question is yes. The assessment that is taking place across the board, all areas, roads, water systems, electricity lines, schools, hospitals, health centers, etc. So the minister with responsibility for education, Senator Dana Dixon Morrison, has managed that process, and she has reported on it. I'm sure at your next diaspora conference, she probably could be a guest to report on the extent of the damage and what the government is doing to restore our schools for our children.
Thank you for that response, Minister Tufton. Again, you preempted our conversations, and yes, we will have Senator Dana Dixon with us in the future to discuss more specifically on matters around education. We are going to take, is there anyone with a question for Minister Vaz? We will take 2 more questions for Minister Vaz. Or did he leave? Okay, I understand that he has left. So Minister Tufton, we will take 2 more questions and then we will close out this segment. Just to remind you, you can post your question in the chat. We do have a team committed to responding to you. If we're unable to respond based on your question, we will be getting the information and preparing an FAQ, which we will be sharing with you. Remember to share your name and your email address so we can do the necessary follow-up. Okay, I see a lady, Jolene Long. Lady Long.
Good evening, everybody. My question is brief. I'm in the States and I'm trying to get some funding to get some repairs done to my home back home. And a lot of the roadblock that I'm running into is not finding the right information. So I just need some direction where to look so that I'm not getting scammed. That's one of the biggest issues that I'm running into.
Okay.
So that is my question.
Okay, Lady Long, that's a question that we will have to speak with you directly on. If you just drop your name and your email address and perhaps a phone number, we would be more than happy to have that discussion with you.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're absolutely welcome. We'll take 1 more question for Minister Tufton. He will have to leave. And will come from Carissa Fitzhenley. I hope I got your name correct.
Good evening, it's Parisa Fitzhenley. Thank you so much, and thank you very much for this opportunity. My question is for Dr. Tufton. I'm helping to facilitate for a number of individuals and groups in Bermuda, the US, and in Jamaica with both humanitarian and medical response. Our medical team has really struggled to get licensing The paperwork was put in weeks ago and there have still been no responses. Is there any way to expedite this process? And additionally, as agriculture is being built back up, is the soil being tested for contamination? Thank you so much.
Okay, so let me start with the first question about credentials. I found that the process that is handled by the foundation, Mr. Cephas, who was mentioned earlier, works pretty quickly if all the documentation is submitted. Normally delays are linked to documentation. So if you have submitted all your documentation and your credentials are intact, whether you're a nurse or a doctor, it is quickly passed on, having been initially vetted, to the medical council or the nursing council, who are the authority that gives final approval for persons to practice on the island, having validated their credentials. And within a few days, it should be done. We have hosted many such groups. A lot of them are in the field now. So I'm not sure what the exact issue is. If you send me some information, I can happily check on it, but it shouldn't be that difficult. On the issue of the soil testing, the Ministry of Agriculture has done their assessment and are continuing to do assessment. I'm not sure what role soil testing takes in that overall assessment. They're looking at crop damage and the different crops, the estimates of damage, what it will take to get things back up and running. And I know that's an ongoing issue. But if you need information specific to agriculture, you can drop a line to the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, RADA. I think the ministry has a website, Ministry of Agriculture, Jamaica, and go to RADA and you can send them a note. And I'm sure they'll be responsive to that note. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Minister Tufton, for providing that response. We will also be following up and sharing whatever information we can, certainly from the embassy here. And I believe that's a wrap for this Q&A segment. We do have two presentations to go through from ODPEM and Jamaica Customs. So we want to make room. But Minister Tufton, thank you so much for spending the time to share the information you have. It's always such a pleasure having you with us at the embassy, and also I'm sure our friends from the diaspora are always happy to have you. Thank you so much. And thank you for the team for the work that is being done. We see it, sir, and we are truly appreciated. It's an enormous scope and scale, and thank you so much for the work that you and the team.
Thank you very much, and thanks to the team, thanks to the members online. God bless, and we will keep in touch, and please get in touch with us if you need anything. Thank you. All the best.
Thank you, sir. All right, so we will immediately transition into our second segment. This is a very technical segment, the segment where the tire hits the road. And so at this time, I will be inviting Commander Alvin Gayle, the Acting Director General of ODPEM, to share a few remarks with us, and then we will have our Commissioner of Customs, Dr. Velma Ricketts, walk up. And after those two presentations, we will go into the second segment of our question and answer session. Commander Gayle, over to you.
Good evening, all. I just want to confirm you're hearing me.
Yes, you are being heard. You are absolutely being heard, Commander.
Good evening, all. I was just trying to share a slide a while ago. There seems to be some hiccups here. But what I'll do, I'll just quickly run through the updates from Jamaica as it pertains to Hurricane Melissa. Before I start, I just want to thank you again, Ambassador, and the team at the embassy and the Jamaicans online for just allowing me this period to explain to us what is happening in Jamaica on the ground here. So as it is now, we're just about 27 days post the blow of Hurricane Melissa, and the impacts have been widely felt right across Jamaica. As mentioned before in a number of the briefings, 45 persons have to date been confirmed dead. and we continue to mourn the loss and remember the families in our prayers. As it is now, some 17 persons are at today's date still missing. The Jamaica Constabulary Force has been doing yeoman's work in trying to reconnect these missing persons with their families, but today 17 remain missing. Additionally, some 32 persons or 32 cases have remained under investigation, just to try and figure out definitively if their deaths are directly linked to Melissa events. The Minister of Health will have already mentioned the matters concerning the outbreaks of the leptospirosis cases and the deaths there confirmed. In terms of household damage, we would have estimated through GIS data and satellite data that just about 191,000 buildings overall would have taken some damage. Of that, just about 156,000 dwellings would have had some level of damage, starting out just at about, roof damage, slight damage to walls, but just about 24,000 of those buildings would have suffered some complete loss over time. As it is today, the National Emergency Center operating out of the ODPEM remains at level 3, i.e. it is still fully active, maintaining 2 daily briefs. Matter of fact, the brief is going on downstairs as we speak. What this does for us is that it ensures real-time collaboration right across government. All MDAs are involved across the health services, utilities, social protection, or security forces, emergency responders, and our humanitarian partners, both international, local, NGOs, and registered charities. As it pertains to road clearance and road clearance, what I'll indicate today is that no community in Jamaica remains marooned. And I'll explain quickly that for us, being marooned means that the only way to enter that community is via air. What I will indicate is that in some cases, access to a number of communities do remain single lane access. There are some portions of some communities across Jamaica, which because of flooding and or land slippage might remain inaccessible within communities, but no community today remains inaccessible to us. Just about 33 thoroughfares across Jamaica remain blocked, and the NAA continues its work to clear these. In terms of shelters, during the blow itself, we had just about 881 shelters operational, and just over 7,000 persons have entered the shelters. Today, just 116 of those shelters remain active, with just under 1,500 persons still housed in shelters. The majority of those persons, I will indicate, are in the parish of Westmoreland. Almost 600 persons today remain in shelters in Westmoreland. St. James just has about 200 persons, so too Trelawney, and St. Elizabeth having about 250 persons in shelters as we speak today. On the telecom side, between both providers, Flow and Digicel, they are able to, at today's date, to report just about 90% of their usual traffic, both data and voice, is back online. As me sort of mentioned before, JPS has been doing some significant work, and they're now at some 76% of restoration. Just to indicate that significant work is also continuing in seeking to get the coastal areas south and east rather of Negril lit up very shortly. There's some significant work being conducted on the ground to see if we can get the Savannah Hospital back with power. That work continues. I'm hopeful that before the week closes out, they can be restored. Also last evening,
Commander Gayle, I'm just confirming that you're still with us. We seem to have lost connectivity briefly there. Commander Gayle? Okay, it appears we have lost Commander Gayle. I trust I'm sure he's trying to patch back in. But in the meantime, we will allow for another 10 seconds or so, and if he is not back, then we will ask Commissioner Ricketts Walker to be queued up for her presentation. Will she be making okay. Commissioner Ricketts Walker, can you confirm you are on and hearing and all?
I am here. I am here. I am here.
Very happy
Yes.
to you. And it appears that we will be rolling into your presentation, Commissioner.
Okay. So let me just say good evening to everyone, especially Ambassador Anderson, and of course the distinguished members of our Jamaican diaspora, and I will also say friends of Jamaica. Thank you for the invitation, and it is really an honor to join you this evening to continue to rebuild, recover, and strengthen our beloved country after Hurricane Melissa. But also let me also express heartfelt. Are you hearing me? Let me just make sure. Am I being heard?
Yes, you are being heard.
Right, okay, I just wanted to make sure. So let me begin by expressing on behalf of the Jamaica Customs Agency, and of course, extending to the government of Jamaica, our deep appreciation to you, our overseas community, for your generosity, your compassion, your solidarity, your unwavering commitment to Jamaica during this difficult time. I must tell you that your support has restored lives, your support has restored homes, and importantly, your support has restored dignity. I was asked to provide a brief update, 5 minutes, on the clearance processes for hurricane relief and recovery items being shipped into Jamaica, so I will be very quick. And so by way of background, the government of Jamaica had enacted a relief period during which import duty and general consumption tax are waived on approved hurricane relief items. And so this period runs from October 29, 2025 through to December 31st, 2025. So what this means is that shipments imported between October 29th and December 31st of this year will not be subject to import duty or GCT for the designated relief items or goods, as we will call it. So importantly as well is that the list of relief item is meant to reflect the actual recovery needs, right? And just to clarify this to you, I'll just briefly state what the list covers. The Jamaica Customs Agency would have extensively made the list published to all media, including social, mainstream media, our website, and all. So, the list covers non-perishable food, it covers water and sanitization supplies, it covers household essentials, clothing and personal items, it covers medical and first aid items, it covers tool, hardware, reconstruction materials, it covers energy, power items, it covers communications devices and such as portable chargers, including even Starlink. It covers care items for infants, elderly, and the disabled. It covers miscellaneous emergency items, right? So this is really a comprehensive list which ensures that the donation being shipped align with our national relief priorities and community needs. Now, again, the list is available on our customs website, and I hope that persons are able to get a chance to view it if you have not yet seen it. Now, for individuals sending relief items, let's say you're sending a barrel, let's say you're sending boxes, let's say you're sending small shipments to relatives or community members, the process for us is very straightforward. To clear the items, we require, of course, that the person who is consigned to, that there is a tax registration number, commonly known as, of course, a TRN. There's a valid ID, there's a packing list, invoice or receipts where applicable, the bill of lading or the airway bill, depending on the mode of transport. Of course, there will be the requirement of a customs declaration, which is prepared by your custom broker or your freight forwarder or shipping agent. If there are any permit, then that is also required. However, there are most items do not need permit during this period. Of course, we also require a special declaration form confirming that the items are for disaster relief, right? So when these documents are presented, the clearance is usually completed same day. But that also depends on the readiness of the port, the warehouse operator, your logistic provider, including your custom broker or agent, as well as in terms of the transportation requirement that you would need, okay? Now, as it relates to importing or donation from organizations, churches, and community groups, for organizations shipping in bulk, the shipment, we encourage that those items be consigned to the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM. And why do we encourage that? Because that entity normally manages the national logistics and distribution, and it makes things way more easier. And arrangement can be made with ODPEM if you want to have a special arm within Jamaica to receive those goods, right? So before shipping, organizations are asked to, of course, notify ODPEM and submit your letter outlining the purpose of the donation, of course, your packing list, your shipping documents, your invoices, any pre-arrival forms required. ODPEM would then review and provide an approval to you that it is okay to ship through them. And now this ensures that when the goods reach the port, within Jamaica, of course, Jamaica Customs Agency can expedite the processing immediately. I mentioned earlier about the Ministry of Health as it relates to the permit requirement. I must say that to further support the fast clearance, the Ministry of Health and Wellness has waived the import permits until March 31st of 2026 for several items, including over-the-counter medication, personal care items, sanitizers, disinfectants. And you heard the minister saying that there's need for those, first aid kits, water purification tablets. And so this has significantly reduced the processing time. Now, for the Jamaica Customs Agency, we know that this is a difficult period, and we want to ensure that we continue to find efficiencies within the system of clearance. And so we had implemented several measures to support the donation coming in from our diaspora. We have a dedicated emergency relief clearance desk. And so all you need to do is just to email emergency relief clearance at jca.gov.jm and ask any question needed, get any clarity and guidance required. And this will allow us to, be in a position to be able to prioritize the processing of the relief cargo even better. And just to indicate that we maintain constant coordination with ODPEM, with our health partners, with our port operators, our airline operators, our shipping agents, customs brokers, just to ensure that this process is as seamless as possible. We continue to evolve and to see where, if there are any gaps, how can we further improve on those gaps. I want to also say, as it relates to ODPEM, that we also encourage you to, use the government Support Jamaica portal, which is supportjamaica.gov.jm for verified information on the national priority needs, donation channels, and volunteer opportunities. Now, coming back to the old processing of your emergency relief, it is important that to avoid delays, that the documentary requirements are satisfied as best as possible. And one of the things we find is that sometimes person may not have the required TRN, may not have an invoice or a packing list. We probably have incorrect consignee and may need permit and don't have the proper documentation or missing the special decoration. So we ask that you just, try to understand those requirements and ensure that you have those documentation to guarantee a smooth process. I want to speak quickly to factors to consider when you ship. Let's say, I'm going back to the barrel or the box with relief item via sea, because I think it's important that once you're about to undertake that you consider the transit time for the vessel, because that varies depending on where you're shipping from, whether it be Miami, New York, Los Angeles, the different areas. But notwithstanding that, you have to also not just consider the transit time, you have to consider the voyage time as well, because there are a number of factors that are included in that process. And you need to understand that once that, you need to know when your shipment leaves the point of exportation and when it would reach the point of importation, i.e. within Jamaica. Now, when the cargo arrives in Jamaica, your shipping agent or freight forwarder will notify you about the container's arrival. They will also notify you that when the cargo will be removed and when it will be stored in the warehouse, right? And they will also inform you when your shipment is ready for clearance. So all this depends on the warehouse space availability, your logistics provider's efficiency. And when I speak about logistics provider, that includes your customs broker, your shipping agent, your freight forwarder, for example, right? So, and bearing in mind too that with the period to which we're in now is considered our peak season. So we have a number of factors working with to ensure that the clearance is as smooth as possible for our relief item. Now, as it relates to air, if you're coming, it is essential for the public, especially our diaspora donors, to understand the fundamental principle as it relates to international travel and cargo handling. And when I say that against the background of, let me pose this question. What is the process if someone is traveling to Jamaica with relief items as a part of their luggage? So you may decide that you're coming to Jamaica, you have your suitcase, one suitcase with your personal items, or maybe two, and let's say you might be carrying another 2 suitcases with relief item. How would Jamaica Customs treat with that? And that is for us a pretty seamless process, because as passengers, you would know that you're entitled to US $1,000 allowance for your personal items. And recall that the government would have allowed for relief items up until December 31st to benefit from the suspension of import duty and GCT. So technically, you would be pretty okay moving through our airports as it relates to your personal luggage and relief items. Now, there is also the matter of whether or not when your luggage or baggage may be delayed. And just to indicate that passengers entering Jamaica with delayed baggage, you have to first present the baggage receipt upon arrival to our customs officer for inspection. And normally we are not able to process the bags unless those delayed baggage are presented to us by the airline. And we normally coordinate very good with our airline partners to ensure that those baggage as they come, the passengers are duly notified, not by us, but by the airline. And as the passenger come to us, we are able to ensure that the clearance go through as quickly as possible. If it is that you are sending your items via the courier, you have to provide, of course, supporting documents such as, of course, your invoice, any authorization letter, your special declaration stating the items are for relief, and that the documents, of course, should be attached to the import entry or the custom declaration so that we're able to, suspend the import duty and the GCT for those items that are relief items. So, as I said before, we continue to ensure that we listen to the public. We're big on communicating, and we are constantly doing that so that the public is aware of how the process works and how we can make it as easily as possible. This is the end of my update, but I also want again to express my heartfelt appreciation, your generosity, your compassion, your unwavering commitment continue to strengthen the resilience of our people. And so just to let you know that the Jamaica Customs Agency stands ready to facilitate every shipment that contributes to Jamaica's recovery and rebuilding efforts. So thank you so much.
And thank you so much, Commissioner Ricketts Walker. The work that you are doing, you and the team, we know it's quite a bit, and there's a lot happening in this space. It's very dynamic, but you have really been keeping us abreast. I was just looking at the website. It's www.jca.jm, and the information is there. There is a very useful brochure to guide all the processes that Commissioner outlined earlier. So I will invite members on to just have a look at the website and the information. It is beautifully documented there, step by step, easy to follow. Thank you so much for your presentation. We're going to go into a Q&A. This is segment 2 of our Q&A. I'm going to check to see if we have Commander Gayle. Are you back with us?
Yes, ma'am, I'm indeed back.
Did you have some final comments before we go into Q&A?
Yes, I believe I was at the point where I'd indicated that the telecoms are just running about 90% of their service package online. For water, just about 72%. But what I'll indicate with water is that there have been some number of sites right across the western parishes that have been set up and purifying water. So we are actually being able to bring safe water to more than 72% of NWC customers. So that is good for us. And just by and large, again, just to give an overall figure, we have been able to, through the GOJ network, that's ODPEM, JDF, MLSS, that's the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, hand out to Jamaican people, to the Jamaican population, over 200,000 care packages for food. And I'll leave it there for now and roll into the question and answers.
Thank you so much, Commander Gayle, for those final comments. So we go into Q&A once more. I'm reminding you, you will be recognized by show of your raised hand from the Zoom platform. Please state your question very briefly. There's no requirement for commentary. State your question, your name, and then we will take it from there. If we're unable to take all the questions, please remember to drop them in our chat. We have a team dedicated just to responding to those questions if we're unable to take them, because we do have time constraints. And so we will take our first question. There's a Marjorie McFarlane. Marjorie, over to you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you're being heard.
Hi. Good evening, everyone, and thank you both for the comprehensive update. So my question is to Minister Ricketts Walker. I have a two-pronged question. The first one is around the compliance and restrictions. Are there any sort of restrictive or prohibitive items that we cannot ship to Jamaica? And if so, is there a way that we can locate that list? Also, is compliance monitored, and what are the penalties for incorrect documentation or non-compliance? And the other part of my question is around logistics and support. Are we able to track the shipments after we send them to Jamaica and they're going through customs? And is there a designated point of contact or customs for questions on how to help resolve any issues that may come up during clearance? I appreciate your guidance. Thank you.
Commissioner Walker, will you take that one, ma'am?
Thank you, Mrs. McFarlane Lucas. You gave a comprehensive list of questions, and I thank you so much. And because of that list of questions, I also have a team with me so they can jump in at any time. Now, you spoke to restriction or restricted goods, restricted or prohibited goods. Now, let me go to prohibitive goods. So the nature of that word means that it can't come in. It not to come in. It will not be able, it will not be admitted. And if it comes, it is really a breach of the Customs Act. And depending on the type of good, it might be a breach of other legislation. Let's say, for example, I'm going wide now, illegal firearms and ammunition, right? So, you know, the Firearms Act and everything else. So that is that. As it relates to restriction, goods that are restricted are really managed through permits and license. And that is why I mentioned that there are certain goods that the Ministry of Health would have graciously waived the permit requirements for those goods so that we are, the general public, our donors, are able to send those goods to us. Some of those goods include the over-the-counter drugs, as I mentioned before, water purifier, purification items, such like that. So those goods, of course, you need a permit. Now, if it is that you would have sent items that require a permit, they are restricted goods, and you don't have the documentation, what we do is try to work with you to help you to find the area that requires the permit so that they are able to assist the process, whatever the permit requirement, whether it be from the Ministry of Health, it may be from the Ministry of Agriculture, it could be from our own trade board, depending on the type of goods, right? So you would work with that. But one of the things that is important is that you have to get your shipping agent, your freight forwarder, or a customs broker to assist you with the process, because they are the medium to customs, the middle person in the process. And so that happens. When you have a customs declaration, so if you're checking on your goods, because you asked about tracking your goods, you need the customs declaration. That is why it's important that you have the declaration, because the declaration allows for accountability within the system, that you can say, well, this is my declaration for my goods. That declaration allows you to track your goods. And so we also have a customs mobile app, and we urge persons to download that app. That app is on our the Google. It's for iOS as well as Android. So if you go to Google Play Store, you should be able to download the app, because once you download that app as well, you have a customs declaration. It also allows you the ability to track your good. You asked about a point of contact. Now, once your point of contact, normally you are able to contact whether our customer service, our public relations, and our quick response. So we have email. I'm going to ask my team members online to put the email up for quick response at Jamaica JCA, as well as our public.relations@jca.gov.jm. And I mentioned in the presentation emergency relief at jca.gov.jm. So there's a number of channels that you can use. We ask that you contact us via our social media handles, because we are very active on those as well. So I trust that I've answered your list of questions, Miss Marjorie. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. Just a quick reminder, please to keep your questions very brief. One question, you really want to give others an opportunity to ask the questions, but thank you so much for your question, Ms. Marjorie. Moving on, we have Abraham Conte. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Abraham Conte, your one question, sir.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, you're being heard. Go right ahead.
Oh, yes. Sorry. So my question, well, I had it was a question I had earlier, sorry, I didn't put my hand on, but I don't know if you could answer. So pretty much what I wanted to find out was that do we have like the exact number of homes that are destroyed in terms of like how many? So I know the PM had announced in terms of temporary homes as it relates to retrofit homes. Do we know exactly how many homes are completely destroyed, how many roofs are gone, and then as it relates to as a temporary fix in terms of tarpaulin? So if we could look at a drive to say, okay, you know, for right now, we need 5,000, I'm just throwing a number here, 5,000 tarpaulin. So that way, because one of the things, so I'm part of like 3 different groups that have been doing relief efforts. And a few times there have been persons who are saying, hey, we have food, not to say we should stop doing food drive, but you know, tarpaulin is really what we need because rains are coming and we still don't have any roof. So, so you know, if we can have some sort of drive as a temporary fix where that is concerned. And then the last thing that I have is if we can, so we know during the Christmas period, a lot of persons are going back home to their family and so forth. So if some sort of marketing push can be done to say, you know, when you go home for Christmas, each one bring one, you know, encouraging person to bring a tarpaulin. Your family member or friend may not need it, but you can donate it to a shelter, you know, put a tarpaulin in your checked luggage or your carry-on and so forth. So that sort of drive, because I find that it's a huge need right now, equally as important as food for a number of persons.
Okay, Mr. Conte, thank you so much. Your comments, your suggestion, the latter part of your comments was noted by us. You asked a question about the temporary damage to homes. Commander Gayle, would you like to make some comments? Perhaps I don't know if you have data on that at this time.
Good evening again. So I do accept the recommendations. They are pertinent to the case now, and I believe it's something that we'll be able to treat it from our end. What I will indicate concerning the damage assessment. So we would have been able to conduct a rapid damage assessment with our local team at the
Okay, it seems we have lost Commander. We'll allow for another 10 seconds just to see if he will patch in quickly. But in the meantime, we will go with 4 more questions. Please be reminded, you can share your questions in the chat and we will be responding to them. You can also follow our social media pages on Instagram and Facebook for updates that we will be sharing with you following this virtual town hall meeting. Is Commander back?
Yes, I'm back. So 156,000 dwellings would have suffered some level of damage. My damage right through to
Could you repeat that figure for us, Commander?
156,000 dwellings. Minor damage right to the total failure. By our preliminary estimates, just about 24,000 would have been total failures in terms of total collapse, particularly within the Westmoreland area. So that's where we are in terms of those figures. The underground verification continues. Just over 24,000 of the numbers have been verified through underground assessments, and that drive continues. We hope to be able to conclude on those deliveries by mid-December, so we can have verified figures as best as we can.
Okay, thank you so much, Commander. We do appreciate that it's a very layered process, and even as we move into recovery, you know, there's still elements of relief and assessment that's taking place. So we will go with Dr. Pauline. I'm not seeing your surname, I'm so sorry. But we will take your question, followed by Diane Robertson. And then we will go with one more question.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. This question is directed to the commander of the customs. The question is, are there any plans to extend the date for the waivers, the custom waivers for relief items? And the reason is I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, and I've been told that in Georgia and elsewhere, there is a backlog of items to be shipped because of the overwhelming amount of items that are coming down. So are there any plans to extend the date beyond December 31st, 2025 to accommodate some of these relief items and to take a little bit of the pressure off of the people who are volunteering and donating? Thank you. I yield.
All right, so thank you so much for that question. All right, so what I can say is that the time frame provided is provided by our Ministry of Finance and the Public Service, right? You're not the first person who has mentioned the possibility or the need for an extension. So I am sure that this is something that the ministry has heard and is looking into, if there's any possibility for further extension, because it was November, the end of November, and then it was further extended to the end of December. What I will also want to say is that once your goods reaches Jamaica by the 31st of December, it would qualify for the suspension of the import duty and the general consumption tax. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that response. We're going to go straight to Diane Robertson, and then our very final question, we will take that from CJ Ricketts.
Thank you so much. So my question was just asked, and I'm going to reiterate, since several people have said we really need to have an extension in order to do the most we can do. The generosity is overwhelming, and to discourage that by a customs issue would be unwise. My second part, I live in North Carolina, and I live in the center of two major medical situations, University of North Carolina, well, three, University of North Carolina, and Duke University, and the hospitals in the Triangle. And I would love to have particularly the presentation recorded from Dr. Tufton so that I could use that to present to get resources for some of the key facilities. So if this video is available and could be shared, that would be my request.
Okay, Diane, thank you for your comments. We have shared the slide deck. It is in the chat, so feel free to download it and save it on your screen. And you can also share your email address.
Okay, I'll do that right now.
All right, our very final question for ODPEM Customs, because they too have to leave us and we need to close out the program. CJ Brigard.
Hi, thank you. My question is for Commander Ricketts Walker, and it's really around one of the statements that you made was that the lifting of the import tax is really around recognized relief supplies. You may have said it in other words. So considering the impact to the educational sector, have you heard anything about consideration given to waiving that same type of import tax when it comes to school supplies, books, any type of educational supplies? And if we do decide, I'm also in Atlanta, and I have received a donation of reading material, just generally books, for their children's books. And, you know, I'm either going to have to ship these myself. I'm just concerned as to what would be the process if I decided to do that as a direct donation to a school. And I'm assuming the school or whoever my recipient is would have to pay those taxes then. Can you give me an input on that?
So thank you for your question. So as it relates to school supplies, there are basic school supplies that falls within the specified relief list. However, what I'm hearing from you is maybe probably a variety of school supplies. And what I would encourage is the use of the charitable organization within Jamaica that are responsible for those type of commodity, which is the National Education Trust. And I am sure based on our own interaction with them, they are normally very facilitative in receiving your supplies and coordinating with you to where you want it to go, or if it is that you are, you know, leaving it to them for their distribution. But I would utilize that avenue as well.
Thank you so much.
You're most welcome.
All right, thank you so much, Commissioner Walker, Commander Gayle, for your presentations. It was absolutely comprehensive and insightful, and I know that we have benefited from the valuable information you have shared. Just to say, friends from the diaspora, please go on the websites, www.jca.gov.jm. You can visit our Jamaica Embassy, MC of Jamaica, .org as well. Follow our social media pages. In fact, the recording of this town hall meeting will be on the Facebook page. So if you go on, you'll be able to listen and make notes of whatever section of the presentation is most useful for you. Also, we will be preparing an FAQ because we have been tracking the chat and we have been responding to questions. There are similar questions, and so those ones that are more significant based on frequency, we will be providing those responses. So again, we are so grateful, Commissioner Ricketts, Walker, and Commander Gayle, for your time and for your information. And we will certainly be continuing this dialogue. Now we are moving into the very final segment. I know it's been a very long evening. And at this time, we do have our consuls general on, and our honorary consuls. I'm seeing a few of them on the screen. And we know you are doing marvelous work in your neck of the woods. And certainly we would like to give you an opportunity to make very brief comments, anything you want to share with us. And we're gonna start with Consul General Alvin from Maryland. Is he not? We will keep moving. We do have Mistress Ariel Brown, the officer in charge in New York. Are you on, Mrs. Brown?
Yes. Yes, thank you so very much. We're happy to join you and thank you for convening this meeting. Just to say that we have been having quite a number of meetings virtually with entities from the diaspora. We have a sect in Boston. We met last week online, and there have been a number of discussions taking place as to how they would like to be able to contribute to Jamaica. The dialogue continues, so that we can share in due course. Well, let me also say that we also had a group from the Bronx that met on Saturday, and there was a packing event between the hours of 12 p.m. straight into 5 p.m. We had a number of local representatives from government that were also there to support the initiative. So we had a number of different contributions that were brought in by members of the diaspora ranging from household items to medical items, personal items, and those were very well received. They were packaged. They have now been, well, the container has now left New York and it's on its way to Jamaica. So we're very happy to be able to report that. We also have a number of medical equipments as well that we have received from Connecticut. And those are also, we have actually sought to get the approvals, the necessary approvals from the Ministry of Health to ensure that the specs are in keeping with the needs on the ground in Jamaica. So those, we are also looking to have those shipped off to Jamaica as well. Just to mention that today we were part of a press conference in New York looking at the plans being made for the Jamaica Strong concert. You may have heard about the number of high-profile Jamaicans, including Shaggy and the Shaggy Foundation, that are part of this plan to have this concert on the 14th of December. That will be at the UBS Arena starting at 9 p.m. The tickets are available on Ticketmaster and the information can be obtained online. So I'm very excited about that particular one. We know that it is strongly supported by the government of Jamaica. Minister Babsy Grange, of course, is in touch with the organizers and the plans for that are going very well. So we just urge interested persons just to look out for that particular one as well. So we just want to, use this opportunity to thank as well the many elected officials at the local level who have been writing to us. They have been, some of them trying to see how they can go down to Jamaica to actually assess for themselves what the situation is and how they can be of service. We're happy that persons recognize the sort of long-term need. We know it's not a sprint, it's going to be a marathon to have the recovery process as strong as we would like to have it. And so there's a lot of interest in ensuring that, the event of the hurricane is kept in the media for a long time. So, what happens when it's no longer in the forefront, people forget about the needs. So there is a lot of interest in ensuring that it stays in the public sphere as long as possible. So we know that there are many other diaspora groups who want to come on stream, and we continue to urge them to make contact with the Jamaican consulate in New York so we can provide the relevant guidance. And we also refer them, of course, to the websites with the loads of information that we know is available there for persons. So thank you for this opportunity to update you on that, and we look forward to continued progress in the recovery process. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Bowen, and welcome. Very happy to have you. We are going to move on to Dr. Elaine Bryan, but let me just say, if you have any updates regarding drop-off locations in your area, it's perhaps good to just make some comments on that. And also, let's keep the comments as brief as we possibly can. Dr. Elaine Bryan, are you? You are, we're not hearing you. Let's just make a quick check. We see you speaking, but we are not hearing you, Dr. Bryan.
Okay, can you hear me now? Can you hear? Great, okay. Yes, we had 8 official drop-off sites that we have been putting out there, and since then we have had maybe an extra 7 or even 9 persons merging with these locations. So everything is very smooth because everybody now knows where they can drop off their goods. And we have ample space in the sense that the warehouse that Mr. Iramon has that was full, we moved some of those items to the church. The Word of Life International Church of God they and many other facilities here have been very helpful in storing the items. Also, storages have been established at Delta Airline and other places. So we are pretty organized with storage. The next thing that I wanted to say to you all, though, is thank you so much for the tremendous support. Let me tell you, I've been volunteering for Jamaica for 7 years. Since this sad affair with the Hurricane Melissa, I'm so encouraged with the love I felt and concern for my beautiful island, Jamaica, from everyone. When I tell you, when we realize, okay, we have about 12 drop-off points, how are we going to get the items from, say, the drop-off points to Caribbean shipping or to another shipping place that offered us shipping in Port of Panama City, or to the Delta employees who have been so gracious in sending thousands of containers to Jamaica. I just got a call from the Cobb County Parks, and they said any amount of vehicle we want to transport the goods from point A to point B. People like Marcia Parker, who has been really helping with the logistics and coordination. You know, so many people, I don't want to leave out anyone, but the church, the Word of Life International Church of God, Miss Sharika Nelson and team, it has just been overwhelming, the support. We have collected every item that Jamaica needs. We follow the list coming from the embassy. Everyone has been very, very helpful. And also, when we got the old clothes and stuff in the beginning, we were able to sort those and put at the drop-off center, okay, we don't want those items right now, maybe later on, but for now, let's just stick with the list that came from the embassy. Going forward, everything our people need to know in Georgia region and the surrounding state, everything has been posted on the Jamaican Consulate Facebook page and Instagram. That page has been updated regularly. If you follow that page, or if you are not into social media and you just want to send an email, feel free to send it to info@jamaicanConsulateAtlanta.org. Thank you.
Right, thank you so much, Dr. Brand, for your update. And you know, it's a spirit of community. That's what it feels like, you know, kindness and love and support. Moving right on to Houston, we have Mr. Kalfani Fullerton. Is Mr. Fullerton on? There we go. We are not hearing you, Mr. Fullerton. Let us just make some quick tech checks. Did you want to unmute your microphone, Mr. Fullerton? Let's see. All right, while we're working through that tech bit there, we will move on to Christopher Chaplin out of Philadelphia.
Thank you so much. So I'll make my report fairly brief. We have established a number of drop-off points, both in Philadelphia and Delaware. And what we have done is that the drop-off points were becoming full. And so we needed to secure a warehouse space, which we have done. I met with the mayor of Philadelphia maybe about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and she was able to locate a warehouse space. So our consulate now has its own warehouse space. And we have started the process of moving the donations from the drop-off points to the warehouse space. We accomplished some last week. We'll accomplish more this week. In addition, we've been working with the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council's representative, Michelle Neal, who has established similar drop-off points. So we've been coordinating a lot in terms of us using volunteers to sort and package the donations, which we'll do this Saturday and in subsequent weeks as we get more things. Overall, the outpouring of support has been tremendous, not only from the Jamaican diaspora, but from Americans as well. I tell people that when push comes to shove, Jamaicans always come together and accomplish great things. The one item I'd want to mention as well is that I attended 2 fundraisers last weekend, actually 2 weekends ago. And one was held by Tammy Mack in Delaware, and she was able to bring her goods in over the weekend. She did an outstanding job. The second fundraiser I attended was held by the Caribbean American Chamber of Commerce, actually co-hosted by us and by Keystone Community Coalition. a Congressman, Brian Fitzpatrick, attended. So they raised money specifically for Bustamante Hospital for Children. As you may understand, Bustamante has taken on a lot more patients, as it's the sole standalone pediatric hospital in Jamaica. And so we're formed as sort of take them under our consulate's wing. And what I mean by that is that one of the things I did was to convene a meeting between CHOP, Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, and the Bustamante Hospital for Children. CHOP is one of the preeminent pediatric hospitals in the world. And so they'll be looking at not only the short term, they've already made a donation of medical supplies, which will ship down, but we're looking at the recovery phase and rebuild phase where they're prepared to help with capacity building at Bustamante. So overall, tremendous outpouring of support, and I look forward to continued support. One last thing, for any updates from us, please go to our Hurricane Melissa website, JamaicaConsulatePhiladelphia.com, where you'll see any updates, including the drop-off locations updating. Thank you much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Champion. It's my understanding that we do have CG Mayor on with us. CG Mayor, could you confirm that you're here with us? And after CG Mayor, we will go back to Mr. Fullerton of Houston.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Happy to be on the program. And yes, I want to concur with some of the reports that have been made. The support has been overwhelming. And I want to use the opportunity to thank each person here on the call for the work you've been doing, and all our Jamaicans and other nationals around the world who have rallied together to help us at this time of need. We have basically been asking the community to support in 4 main ways. One, volunteering of time. And we have had in excess of 3,000 volunteers in the community come out to volunteer either at Food for the Poor or Global Empowerment Mission or any one of our drop-off points. Over 60 drop-off points established across the southern United States. And these items have been primarily, some have been shipped directly to Jamaica, but primarily have been facilitated through Food for the Poor and through GEM. So far, Food for the Poor has set down over 50 containers, GEM over 22 containers to Jamaica. So we're talking millions of contributions. Most of 70% of the donations coming actually from the drop-off points established by members of our diaspora. We have seen a number of relief concerts happening, and I just want to plug one that we have coming up on December 6th, a gospel concert. So it's free to the public, but we'll be raising funds for the rehabilitation process. And then the fourth way persons can give is just through relief items. So community has been very supportive, and just want to remind everybody that this is not a 100-meter sprint. It's going to be a marathon, so we have to pace ourselves, continue moving. And again, a big thank you to everybody for your work and your support. We do a call twice a week for the Southern United States. Persons are invited to come on and share. And we invite persons to just continue doing the work, and let's continue to rebuild Jamaica land we love. Thank you.
Thank you so much, CG Mayor, for your update. Very comprehensive. Is Mr. Fullerton, are you good to go? And unmute your microphone. We're still not hearing you, sir. I think he's saying that we have to unmute him. Is that, can we do that? We are still not hearing you, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you loud and clear. Go right ahead.
Okay. The Houston
The Jamaican consulate in Houston is collaborating with several organizations. And what we decided to do is to put up a unified front in the Jamaica hurricane relief effort. We partnered with the Jamaican Nurses of Greater Houston, led by Ms. Charlene Williams, the Houston, Missouri City Domino Club, led by Dr. Paul Johnson, the Jamaica Foundation of Houston, led by Dr. Nicole Jones, Ira Community, led by Dr. Era Williams, and I Love Being Caribbean, led by Mr. Stephen Anderson, and also We Were Once Them. Those are employees of United Airlines. And last Saturday, I was in Jamaica. We flew from Houston just for the day to drop off relief items to the orphanage and girls and boys home in Jamaica last week, and they've done it in two consecutive weekends. Currently, we also are working with One Bethel Family Church. They have agreed to help us ship. We're going to be shipping so far 3 containers. We have 3 containers of good items worth hundreds of thousands of dollars that we're going to be shipping to Jamaica. The first shipment should leave on December 1st, and then the remaining 2 containers will leave on December 3rd. We have like solar lights, all the necessary items that we have. And the Jamaican community, although we're a small one, we've just been working tirelessly to help Jamaica. And also, I just want to always thank our Consul General, Oliver Meir, for his stellar leadership always. And I just thank him for helping us and guiding us in the southern United States region. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that update with us, Mr. Fullerton. I understand that we do have Commander Denise McCallagher on. We're happy to have you speak for 2 minutes.
Thank you. I'm going to be representing the Southern California side of the country. Ms. Shauna Chin is also the designate. Good afternoon, everyone. Hello to His Excellency and the staff from Jamaica who gave us all that good information, and to the members of the diaspora. Good to see everybody. I'm Denise McCallagher. I'm the new honorary consul designate, and I'm going to talk about California, but beginning with the north. And I just want to give a sense of geography. Up north, we have 3 major cities: San Francisco, Oakland, and San Jose. In the south, I'm physically located in San Jose. We immediately mobilized in the north with the help of JACO, the Jamaican American Community Organization, a fairly new organization here. You met the COO. She had a question in the very beginning. I partnered with them to have a fundraiser, which was hosted by our local restaurateur owner of Calabash called Nigel Jones. And I'm pleased to say I think it was extremely successful. We had a good attendance. We had people volunteer services. Queen Amina gave us the entertainment. We had quite a bit of social influencers and Facebook media that showed us to give us some publicity. The amount of funds raised is not exactly available, as I'm still waiting on the sponsor and nonprofit organization to give me a financial report and also advise of the distribution. To go down south, I've also partnered. We decided to do kind of a one-state initiative in that I attend meetings with the folks in Southern California. The head of JANC, Mr. Patrick Williams, is a president, and there's over 16 organizations that have joined in with him to lead the effort in Southern California. The major event they just did was this past Saturday, which was very successful, where they had sponsorship of the Christ the Good Shepherd Episcopal Church in Los Angeles. Donors were asked. We had videos, television videos advertising that there was going to be these drop-off sites throughout Southern California. And it's my understanding we had a meeting on Sunday that was extremely successful. They had over 7 drop-off locations. and pretty much got a variety of items from the lists that have been posted as to what's needed to support Jamaica. It was so successful that they're about to do a second one this Sunday, December 7th, and it's going to be at the same location at the Christ the Good Shepherd Episcopal Church. I want to also mention that one of our members, he's the head of the cricket club and also the CEO of his own company, Uni Healthcare Inc., Dr. Davidson. He already been in Jamaica just about after, I think a week later after the hurricane. He's from the Little London area, and you've probably seen some of his write-ups in the different newspapers and social media posts. He was down there on the ground feeding Little London, pretty much over 500 households, and his company did that on their own, sponsored that gift. So the bottom line is California is mobilized. We're working together as one group, North and South, and we definitely, as Alvin Mayor said, this is a long haul. This is not going to be the next 2 months operation, but I'm thinking 2 to 3 years before we're totally back up. So we're here to support. And as everybody said, I believe the American support, Caribbean support, I should mention that in the South, we're not only having Jamaican organizations that are participating in what we're doing, but we also have all the Caribbean groups participating with us. The same thing up north, Trinidadians, Guyanese, St. Vincent, you name them. They've all stepped up and are helping us to raise money for Jamaica. And as was said, everybody loves Jamaican, and we see it just by the pouring out of people from all over the world and in our neighborhood, calls coming in, donations coming in. So we keep going, one love, one fight, and we'll be back up. Jamaica will definitely rise again with all of us working together. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you so much, Commander Curry, for such a great update on what's happening over there in California. Always good to hear from you. So we are almost at the end of the program. I just want to check to see if we have other consuls panel, or do we have other consul panel or Barkley on? The Washington State and Chicago. If not, then we will move right along. Right, so at this time, I will be inviting Ambassador Anderson to return to close out this evening's Oslo Town Hall meeting. But before he comes, let me just let you know, we will keep the platform open. We know you like to have your post-meeting dialogue, so we will keep it open for 5 minutes so you can have that talk as you normally do. And I encourage you to visit the websites, visit the social media pages that we have been sharing throughout the program. The Support Jamaica .jm, that website is a critical website that brings together all the information from the different entities, agencies, organizations together, so you can have that info in one place. And you've been such an awesome virtual audience. Let me thank you so much, but I certainly will leave the floor for Ambassador to make his official thanks and to close out this meeting.
Okay, thank you again, Janisha. This has really been, although we have gone on for a little while, this has really been a good town hall from my perspective. I really thank those special guests who actually came on to support us in this. But there is such a huge outpouring of support that we have seen over the past month here, and friends, this starts at the level of Congress. I mean, we have bipartisan support for supporting Jamaica, and there has been a letter from the Foreign Affairs Committee, including Chairman Brian Mast, and Ranking Member Gregory Meeks, to request or to urge the support to Jamaica. So it goes from that level down to all of the people, and there are a huge number of people that I can't even mention now, but we will find a way to recognize everyone as we go along. down to the person who just gives what they have, whatever that is. And I thank you all for all that you do. We appreciate all of you. So this town hall is really part of an ongoing conversation. In the weeks ahead, we will be inviting other ministers. We have our Minister of Education. I know people are very interested in what is happening in that sector. Also, our Minister of Tourism, who we know that we need our tourism up and running as soon as possible. And for persons who are in the diaspora, if you have friends who had booked holidays and the place becomes open, don't feel bad about going to Jamaica on a holiday. When you go on a holiday, you provide employment, you get businesses up and running, you get the support services up and running. So don't think, oh, I'm going for a holiday in an area that has been hit by a disaster. Once they open, you will still be able to have a good holiday and contribute to the recovery of Jamaica. So don't be shy about it. We will continue to update things and keep everyone updated. We'll have some more of these, as I said. Your voices, your expertise, your engagement as a diaspora has been essential to how far we've reached so far. And with this type of effort, with this type of interest, and together we will build and rebuild better, stronger, more resilient, and more united than ever. Have a safe and peaceful Thanksgiving. We know that's in the next couple of days, and may God bless you all. Thanks for being on, and may God bless Jamaica. Have a good evening.
When the game gets rough and this life just seems so tough, make we talk, my people, make we talk. When this town becomes an ugly place, don't let it erase the smile from your face. Make we talk, people, make we talk. Conversation is the key, a guiding light for you and me. Spark a talk and you will see. Conflict solver A to Z. World leaders master the art of self-defense just by talk. So people, make we talk. Hey, we're living in a world that on ourselves we must depend. Make we talk.